listening to WNRN. This is Radio VA. We're here today with a Patterson Hood from the Drive-By Truckers, who are playing 2 nights at the National here in Richmond. Drive-By Truckers have had a long history with Richmond. I really thought that the Drive-By Truckers were well known all around the country by like 1997 or 1998, because you guys seem to be coming up here and playing every couple of months.
Yeah.
Was this one of the first towns where you kind of got a following?
It was the second town. I think it was the second town we had a following after Atlanta. Atlanta was first, and ironically, Athens, Georgia was where most of us live. Was probably around 10th or so. It took a little while.
Yeah.
But yeah, we played the Star Bar in Atlanta, and we headlined one night of Bubba Palooza. It was back in '97, and Wes and Jill Freed from Richmond, who at that time were in the band Dirtball up here.
Yep.
They played that night. Dirtball played the same night we did, and they stayed at the end of the show just kind of looking for bands to play the barn dance that they would put on. And they used to put on Capital City Barn Dance here in Richmond, which of course you will know.
Yeah, we actually, Cracker did a show with you guys.
With us opening, yeah. And they would do it, I guess it was monthly back in those days, and it was just fantastic. And so they invited us to come play it. And so our first time playing in Richmond, we played in a bigger room than we'd be playing normally in front of a whole lot of people. And they gave us a really great slot, and one thing led to another. So we just had a really good following here really early.
Well, it was I remember that time, 96, 97, 98, around then. I mean, it was really, people were very receptive to anything that was Americana roots kind of oriented. There was like people were really hungry for it in this town. And there were a few people here like Wes Freed and Dirtball, and I guess later, I can't remember if Shiners was before the Dirtball, but there was sort of already a base like established, and like you guys were kind of what we were waiting for here, you know, and it was great. Anyway, I remember we went to Wes Freed's place after either that show or one of the other shows, and I was stayed till about.
We all slept on the floor at Wes's.
Yeah, like
10 times we played here.
Like we stayed there till like 5 in the morning, and I remember I had one of my friends. I lived out in the country, man, and I had one of my friends from out in the country who. You know, he was just some guy that I kind of hung out with. He wasn't like a hipster or anything like that. And I brought him to the show, and he was like, "Who the hell are these guys? These guys are great." You know, like sort of like you know. And he'd come with us to that show as well.
It's funny because you know in the '90s when the whole kind of alt country Americana thing was threatening to blow up, you know, it was kind of going to be the next big scene, and it didn't really ever do that. But you know, that scene was almost kind of based out of the Midwest, and then there was like a big part of it in like the Raleigh area.
Right.
And but we came out of the Atlanta end of things, which was a lot more belligerent and more, you know, much nastier version of the scene.
Yeah, it was more like you guys were crossing rock with outlaw country rather than with the Birds, which was what the Midwestern sound was more about, was sort of more introspective, and that. But that's what I was saying about.
We go play those play those different festivals for, you know, the kind of no depression kind of stuff, and they wouldn't necessarily like us.
Yeah.
You know, we weren't exactly accepted initially because we were just a little too rambunctious, I think, in attitude and you know, a little too nasty.
You were a little too authentic.
Or something, I don't know, you know. But we come up here, and of course, thanks to, you know, getting to play in front of y'all and you know, Wes and Jill rallying the troops to come out, you know, it was like totally more than accepted. We were kind of embraced, and the very things that we were scoffed at in some areas, we were applauded for here in Atlanta. And of course, this is halfway to New York, so we just kind of kept hitting here and kept working our way up there, and that was the third time we had a following, was New York. So
not bad.
So it worked good.
It's a pretty big town.
Yeah, it worked good. You know, it's an amazingly small town. Actually,
New York, yes. Yeah.
It's the ultimate small town. But